I know you guys have had a really long day, but we hope your energy's still up.
It's easy to talk about a project that you're proud of. The hard stuff is when you're doing that movie and you're like, oh, I gotta answer that.
One more question. Yeah.
Rude.
It's one to be proud of this week. Oh my God, we got to see it on Friday, and actually, yeah, my favorite scene is that juxtaposition of like the historical sit-in of the kids at the counter, and then you're seeing it cross-cut with Cecil doing his job and all the grandeur of the White House, and it just is really powerful. But I just want you to talk about like putting that together in the editing room and kind of in your own words the significance of that scene, because it's pretty pivotal.
Yeah. And we end up with the line, the very last line, to serving our country, Cuba says. Or no, someone else says, serving our country. And because they were both serving their country in their own way. Coleman says, to serving our country, to serving our country. And it was really hard, the great, and Yaya has come in, and so Yaya, with Yaya comes a sense of seriousness to, of course that's not who she is, but the character of Carol was, she was serious. So Cuba was the light of the movie, and she was sort of the serious of the movie, and and that is exactly what that was. One was just like, they were serving lightly and smiling and doing that and having fun, and then they were in the streets serving their country, and so who best served the country is the question. Was Cecil right or was Lewis right? I don't think that there is a right or a wrong, and I think that they were both right.
Integral parts.
And it was very hard. It was really hard to shoot some of the stuff that we did with Carol and Lewis. It was tears, lots of tears, tears, tons of tears. And when I remember when we did it with Yaya, I'm really protective of the actors, and I just wigged out, and I said, get the spit off her, guys. Like I couldn't even come up to her to see her, because I knew what she was feeling, and then when she could slowly pull away from that space, she said it was the stench of the spit that most disturbed me, and I just like, oh God, girl, it's like, do you remember that line you told me that?
Oh. I don't remember what I said. I was a little...
You said to me, it was the stench of the spit, and that's what I walked away with thinking.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, it's a movie set, right? So a lot of what we see is fake, so they have...
Not that.
No, I know, but I'm saying, the guy, in other movies. So they had the guy there who was prepared to make the fake spit, but it didn't look real.
Oh,
and
my God.
You were the one why?
Well, because the spit wasn't working, and I said, "Oh, can spit her face."
Because it was not working. He was like, he came over to me. I'm gonna tell them, and he was like, "We need the real spit." I'm sorry. I was like, "Okay, let's do it. I'm in it. Let's do it." And it was.
Then it happened.
And then it happened. Not only did it happen, but Lee is directing from what is it called? Camp?
Video Village.
Video Village.
Oh, okay.
In the back, and he's like, again! Again!
I love it!
Yes! And he's like, this is great.
Come on, Yaya! Come on, Yaya!
We're in character, and I'm keeping, Carol's straight face.
Yeah. Well,
but as soon as he called cut, Carol was gone. Yaya.
And then we got into that bus. And let me tell you something. Them people were coming at us in that bus. I was directing them in the bus. Yeah. How about, I don't know. I left them. I said, I'm getting off this bus. Because it was hot. It was hot. And I was saying, cut. And the KKK kept coming at me. I said, I said, cut! Because it was scary. They were shaking the bus. And it was, I was like, this is really... And I can only imagine what these kids what these kids went through.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my God. And I
said early all day, that statement you said.
Which one?
You should take a bullet for your son?
Yeah, I mean, I said this to someone earlier today. I know that as a parent, what you can die for. I can die for my son. I can die for my daughter. I know I can. You know, I can take the bullet. I don't know. But I could do what they did, which was take a bullet for an invisible cause.
Right.
For a possibility. These are heroes.
Right.
Heroes for us
Hopes
to be where we are.
And just a thought. I mean, it really, at that point, it was just a thought of what should be. Nothing much more than that. And they were willing to.
But also, you know, it's not just about black people. It's not about portraying the white person in a negative light too, because there were so many white people that came out to come up to help black people because we were too afraid that died too. You know, because we were too afraid to stand up for our own rights. We were conditioned. You know, as I remember, my parents were like, "Oh, Martin Luther King is," and then it came to the Black Panther, Malcolm X, like, woo, you know, and the Black Panther's like, whoa, you know, and they were heroes, all of them, heroes.
Yeah. Okay, I want to go back a little bit because I'm going to put it out there. My favorite Lee Daniels movie is Shadowboxer. Absolutely.
Oh, are you serious?
I am so
over The Butler. Unbelievable.
Yeah, she's like, is this going to make me look too much like a fan?
Oh, I love you.
He shot that here. That's his first
I mean, absolutely. I refer it to everybody. You, Helen Mirren. It was just, I thought it was amazing. I love it.
Thank you very much.
So how was that for both of you to work with each other 7 years later?
You mean, how was it to work on The Butler now?
Well, on The Butler now with Lee.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer for him first, okay? I mean, for me. For me, it's like old. That's why I said, you know, I like once the actor knows me, knows what to expect, knows my temperament, they have been de-virginized. And so for Cuba, you know, he answered, he's so humble, you know. He's, yes, sir. How would you like it, sir? Okay, sir. Yes, sir. That. And so it was comforting. It was like a pair of old socks with holes in them. That's how it felt for me.
It's so weird. This is the first time it happens today, but usually you come to this point where you don't know if you're repeating yourself or not. Because I said this all day, but Lee is got that rare ability to find the truth, the real truth of the moment. And I believe that they will study his films in film schools when he's gone, dead and gone. I think that this is my favorite, The Butler, but it might not be my favorite of all of his movies. Matter of fact, I can almost guarantee it probably won't be my favorite of all of his films when he's done. But I think the reason for that is because he never stops questioning. He's got a sharper eye. He's got as sharp an eye as the directors I respect, like James L. Brooks and Cameron Crowe and Ridley Scott. I mean, these men see everything, every detail, and they see every detail and emotion, present or not. And they question everything, even their own judgment they question, and they allow you to question it. And that's all you want as an actor, is a director to not only allow you to question, but when you find a new question, he asks it with you. The extra will say or do something in the scene, and you got to be in character because you're like, I know Lee is fucking with me right now, but it's his job to. And great stuff happens. I told it just recently. I had a scene with the dress. No hit. He put I have a shadow box. I'm walking in that dress, and I'm walking heels up. I'm walking like I'm walking, and he's like, no, Cuba, no. And me and him are walking up and down, and the crew are like, are these some bitches? And him and I are walking up the stairs and down the stairs. And I'm watching him walk, and I'm doing
pumps and walking. She's like, follow me, damn it.
And I'll never forget that. And I'm like, going, what the hell am I doing?
Amazing.
Up and down the stairs.
Anything for the scene.
It worked.
With Alex. See if it gets you.
Okay.
And then he shoots it in slow motion. I'm sorry. You don't even see the wall. Before I was a famous actor, we were homeless, and I used to do flips for money out in front of stores for coins, and I had to
Flips,
make
like your body?
I was a gymnast and stuff, so I used to do all that stuff, spinning on my head and all this stuff, and I was a street clown. I was a performer, a street performer, and I had to make people smile and like me, and it was a presentation. You know, so I identified with all of that, of course. There was also another element of my growing up where because we had our breakdance crew, the local gangs would leave us alone, but yet we represented their clique. So if they had beef with another sect, they're breakdancers and we would breakdance and do our thing, and then shooting would happen. And all. I mean, it was like a really, there were so many elements that were out of my control that for me to stay invisible in them meant my survival. So there were a lot of elements of what, not just Cecil, but my character and Lenny's character went through in this movie that I totally identified with. I used to do cutting horse competition in Team Penny in the rodeo, and so I used to ride a lot of horseback. Lived in this place called Victorville, California, Napa Valley, California. I loved the people there, but there was a big KKK factor out there. There was a lot of niggers thrown around. I'll never forget my neighbor. Kid I used to hang out with, and the kids were, if I was 13, these boys were 7 and 8. So they were a little younger, Timmy and Terry. And I hung out with them, and their father used to say, he'd have these, he'd have a Confederate flag in his backyard, and they were always drinking beer and drunken. And when I had to walk by them, that there would be a comment made, like that's a good nigger boy. It was just something that I didn't even take seriously. Because it was just their mentality. And they weren't saying it viscerally because these were just 3 kids that were going by. And nobody, it was just part of the thing. And when you grow up and you realize how abusive that might have been, as an adult it's offensive. But as a kid, I was like, no, Timmy and Terry were, So, I mean, you will get accustomed to a lot of stuff. You'll go numb to a lot of stuff. I mean, that's why some of these prisons, the way they stick these men away in these prisons, and they try to reform them, but we have this in our ability to adapt and flourish in our environment. So is that really the answer?
And that is what they did. I mean, in this story in The Butler, they flourished in their own way.
Yeah, I mean, that's where a lot of humor was born out of.
People are calling this what American, trying to define what American history is. And to me, what is American history is the Civil Rights Movement. It is the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement is is American history from the time that they signed that paper in 1776 and they didn't have slaves here to Obama's election. That is the Civil Rights. That's American history.